I would like to extend my gratitude to the debaters for their preparation, and your dedication enriches the spirit of the debate. As chairman, I would like to outline the guidelines and structure of tonight's debate to ensure clarity and order. All debaters must address themselves to Madam Speaker at the outset of their speech and throughout the debate. Debaters must always refer to one another in the third person, for example, Minister Paul. Only one debater at a time may hold the floor of the House by having their microphone unmuted. When the speaker speaks, all debaters must immediately cease speaking and resume their seats. If anyone interrupts another debater and addresses themselves to the speaker, the interrupted debater shall surrender the floor by muting their mic. Heckling is encouraged as long as it is pertinent, brief, and infrequent. However, I wish to remind you to engage respectfully with each other and to listen carefully to each other's viewpoints discussed. This debate is not to argue with one another, but to discuss the complexities of the topic at hand. Each debater will be awarded 5 minutes for introduction, 4 minutes for the first rebuttal, and the second rebuttal will be 5 minutes. There will be an intermission of 2 minutes after each speaker. Therefore, without delay, let us begin with our proceeding. I now invite the member of the leading party to present their opening argument. The floor is yours.
Good night, everyone. I am Mr. Close, Minister for the North Pole. Madam Speaker, honorable members of the House, I rise today on behalf of the government, scientists in the Congress, to support the motion, men make better leaders than women. We, the affirmative team, stand firmly before the Honorable House on the evidence that biological and psychological leader traits, historical and global leadership patterns, leadership commitment, crisis performance, and follower response has deemed men as the better leaders. Across every dimension we have ever examined, the data is consistent and compelling. Men naturally display the key leadership traits such as assertiveness, ambition, risk tolerance, and rapid decision-making traits, supported by behavioral science and biological research. Globally, men dominate highest positions such as politics, business, and national leadership. And it is not by coincidence either, but through centuries of proven performance and stronger pursuit of leadership roles. And when the leaders are stakes and highest, when in war, national security, or economic instability, societies overwhelmingly trust men who continue to deliver strong outcomes. Even followers respond more confidently to male authority, especially in uncertainty. Madam Speaker, when nations face a crisis, do they turn to empathy alone or decisiveness and authority? Madam Speaker, these patterns, scientific, historical, and behavioral, form the foundation of our case. They show that men consistently embody, pursue, and successfully execute the demands of leadership. For these reasons, the government confidently supports the motion that men make better leaders than women. My first point, which is evidence-based, biological and psychological leadership traits. Honorable members, effective leadership demands decisiveness, risk tolerance, confidence, and strong performance under pressure. Research in behavioral science consistently shows that men score higher in these core leadership traits. My first piece of evidence, a 2020 study in the Journal of Applied Psychology, my apologies, found that men demonstrate significantly higher levels of assertiveness and dominance, traits strongly linked to transformational leadership and the ability to influence teams effectively. Biologically, in my second point, men have higher testosterone levels, which leading researchers such as Sapolsky and Stanford University associated with risk-taking, competitive drive, and rapid decision-making, which is very important, Madam Speaker. My third and final point, the American Psychological Association reports that men on average exhibit stronger genic traits, namely assertion, ambition, and independence qualities that are consistently connected to leadership success in both traditional and modern settings. If leadership is about decisiveness, risk taking, and ambition, tell me, Madam Speaker, who embodies these traits more strongly than men? Historically reflects these traits in practice. Jeff Bezos' ambitious expansion on Amazon, Henry Ford's decisive innovation in transforming industry, and Napoleon Bonaparte's bold command in reshaping nations all demonstrative of how assertiveness, risk-taking, and ambition translate to transformative leadership outcomes. Madam Speaker, taken together, these findings show that men naturally display the psychological and biological attributes that allow these effective leadership expectations. Madam Speaker, the evidence is clear. Men inherently possess the traits most assigned and aligned with effective leadership. I now yield the floor.
Thank you, member. We will now proceed with our 2 minutes intermission. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we have approached the end of our first intermission. I would like to invite the Speaker of the House of Representatives to proceed with their argument. The floor is now yours.
Madam Speaker, honorable members of the House, we are the Winix Club. I am Bloom, representative for Dragon Flame, alongside my members Flora, the representative for Nature, and Aisha, the representative for Waves. The opposition rises today to firmly and confidently reject the statement, men make better leaders than women. This statement is rooted in outdated assumptions about gender and ignores what leadership truly requires in the modern world. Effective leadership is defined by components, opportunity, personal qualities, and performance, not by gender. The evidence clearly shows that women possesses the abilities, traits, and potential needed to lead successfully at every level of society. The opposition rejects this resolution because women are not provided equal opportunities to lead. Women demonstrate more effective leadership styles. Women excel in crisis situations and display higher levels of creativity. These are the qualities essential for strong and successful leadership. Madam Speaker, honorable members, the opposition stands firmly against the resolution and urges this House to reject the belief that leadership excellence belongs to one gender. To begin our argument, we must ask, how can you determine that men are the superior leaders when women are hardly given the chance to lead? This question lies at the heart of why this resolution cannot stand. According to the World Economic Forum 2025, only 29.5% of tertiary educated women hold top leadership positions worldwide. This imbalance clearly shows that women remain at a disadvantage, not because they lack leadership ability, but because they lack access to leadership opportunities in the first place. Yet, whenever women are given the opportunity to lead, they consistently demonstrate strong performance. Between 2015 and 2024, women in top management roles rose from 25.7% to 28.1%, while women in mid-level management increased from 31.5% to 33.4%. This steady improvement highlights that women continue to grow, progress, and show continuous development expected of effective leaders. These figures are drawn from 74 countries, confirming the global reliability of the data. Importantly, the decline in women being hired into leadership roles is linked to broader labor market conditions, not because men are more capable leaders. In fact, many debates have highlighted that the Honorable Kamala Harris demonstrated leadership equalities equal to or surpassing her male counterparts, such as Trump. Yet, she was never given the opportunity to become president, although many would argue that she was the better leader for the USA. Her example further shows that opportunity, not skill, is what restricts women from leadership positions. Additionally, women often hesitate to apply for leadership roles unless they feel completely confident that they meet all requirements. While this may limit applications, it encourages women to develop resilience, self-awareness, and a willingness to grow, traits that strengthen their long-term leadership success. A major survey involving 22,600 women and 40,184 men, assessing 49 different leadership behaviors, revealed that women initially rate themselves lower at younger ages. However, as they gain experience, their self-ratings rise and eventually surpass those men. Colleagues who work closely with women consistently report that women are highly effective leaders, and their primary barrier is lack of opportunity, not lack of competence. These findings make one thing clear. Women are entirely capable of thriving in leadership roles when given equal access to them. Opportunity, not gender, is what determines representation. Thank you.
Member, thank you. We will now proceed with our 2 minutes intermission. Ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded our second intermission. I would like to invite the speaker, Minister Guardian, for our first rebuttal, remembering that we have 4 minutes for the first rebuttal to proceed. The floor is now yours.
Good day, Honorable House. This is Ms. Frost, the Minister for Guardians, and the first rebuttal point that surrounds the global leadership patterns and leadership commitment. Madam Speaker, when we examine both global leadership trends and leadership ambition, it becomes clear why men continue to dominate top leadership positions across history and across the world. Statistically, men have held the overwhelmingly majority of leadership roles in politics, in business, and in national governance. For example, out of nearly 200 countries, fewer than 15% have ever had a female head of government. In the corporate world, 92% of Fortune 500 CEOs are men. Madam Speaker, these figures are not accidents. They reflect a consistent global pattern. For centuries, societies of every culture and political system have placed their trust in male leadership, and the strongest historical leadership outcomes have emerged under men. Now, while the representative for Dragon Flame may say this is outdated, if men were not better leaders, why has history decisively chosen them across cultures and centuries? Franklin D. Roosevelt's unmatched four-term presidency, Charles de Gaulle, command France, and Jack Welch's long-term corporate dominance all reflect the ambition and commitment that societies reward with leadership trust. But the pattern goes deeper, Madam Speaker. Leadership requires long hours, public scrutiny, resilience, and a willingness to make unpopular decisions. Research has shown that men pursue and commit to leadership roles far more consistently. According to the Harvard Business Review, men are 4 times more likely to negotiate for promotions and leadership advancement. In addition, Pew Research further confirms that men express greater interest in high-stress fields such as politics, military leadership, law enforcement, engineering, and executive business careers. Studies also show that women often prioritize work-life balance, while men more readily accept demanding roles with heavier responsibility. Madam Speaker, this combination of global leadership dominance and greater male commitment to leadership pathways form a decisive argument. Men occupy top leadership roles because they actively pursue them. Men gain deeper experience over time, strengthening their leadership capabilities, and societies have repeatedly validated male leadership through consistent selection and successful outcomes. This is why, based on the evidence shown, history, ambition, that the government stands firm in supporting the motion, men make better leaders than women. Thank you.
Thank you, member. We will now proceed with our 2 minutes intermission. Ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded our intermission. We would like to invite the member of the House of Representatives for Nature to proceed with their first rebuttal. The floor is now yours.
Good afternoon. I am Flora, representative of Nature. Honorable members, Madam Speaker. Did you know that certain characteristics and attitudes women possess allows them to handle crisis even better than their male counterparts? Women tend to handle crisis better than men due to their nurturing, communicative, and empathetic leadership qualities, which are crucial in achieving successful results for high stress and emotionally charged situations. This is proven by the recent COVID-19 pandemic by New Zealand's former Prime Minister, who received the lowest death rate for the pandemic. According to multiple news sources, during the COVID-19 pandemic, New Zealand's former Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, was the most successful in mitigating the effects of COVID-19, which resulted in the country having one of the lowest death rates in the world. She was praised internationally for her empathetic leadership, clear communication, and swift, decisive actions during the pandemic, which resulted in many lives being saved. She frequently reinforced the message to be strong, be kind. This kind of language relieved the stress and anxiety that many were facing at the time. This quality of empathetic leadership leads to effective teamwork and builds trust and unity, which motivates team members to press towards a common goal and achieve the desired outcome. According to the World Economic Forum, many countries with women leaders had lower death rates in comparison to neighboring countries. In directing New Zealanders to stay home to save lives, she acknowledged the challenges of staying home, the disruptions from family and work life, and not being able to attend funerals. Shows the empathy that she possesses in being relatable and understanding. These qualities are essential for leadership positions in times of crisis. This proves that the qualities that define female leadership, empathy, communication, decisiveness, and relationship building are all critical for navigating risk laden environments, as it builds trust and compliance. Therefore, women are demonstratively better equipped to lead and succeed in times of crisis. Madam Speaker, women are proven to be far more creative than men. Creativity matters in as it is the strongest driver of progress and problem solving in everyday life, especially in leadership positions. Creativity is the foundation for new ideas, new products, and technology, which is essential in such a rapidly changing world in which we live in today. As it is often said, modern problems require modern solutions, and this is where creativity plays a crucial role. Without creative thinking, organizations can fall behind competitors as no one can come up with ideas for a new product or a creative marketing strategy. Now that you know how important creativity is, especially for a leader, what would you do if I said that women are far more creative than men in leadership? Many women leaders excel at thinking outside the box and finding innovative solutions to problems. Their creativity helps them approach challenges from many different angles, design new strategies, and develop fresh ideas for their team. This can be proven with the example of PepsiCo. The former female CEO, Indra Nooyi, managed to get revenue from 35 billion to 63 billion under her leadership. She introduced healthier product lines and eco-friendly packaging and used a creative long-term strategy rather than a short-term profit focus. So, how can the Minister for Guardians say that women that the data is outdated when women have constantly haven't been able to get the opportunity to lead? Thus, it is proven that women create better leaders than men. Thank you.
Member of Nature, thank you. We will proceed now with our 2 minute intermission. Members, sorry, 2 minutes intermission. Ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded our intermission, and I would now invite Minister Scrooge to proceed with the second rebuttal and conclusion. Members, please note that no additional point is to be stated in the second rebuttal. The floor is now yours.
Good evening, Madam Speaker, honorable members of the House. I am Grinch, Minister Scrooge, and I rise today on behalf of the government to reinforce our case. Throughout history, leadership has ultimately been proven in two places, under extreme pressure and in the response of followers. When we look at both those dimensions, the evidence overwhelmingly supports the notion that men make better leaders. Let us take the world's most high-stake environments, for example. War, economic collapse, national security. Societies have consistently turned to male leaders, and these men have in turn delivered exceptional results. These are not any ordinary situations. They are moments where leadership determines national survival. Madam Speaker, when the survival of nations is at stake, do we look for compromise or for command? History answers clearly. Winston Churchill's wartime resolve, Nelson Mandela's unifying authority, Lee Kuan Yew's decisive transformation of Singapore. What do these all have in common? These all show how male leaders thrive under extreme pressure and embody the traits of decisiveness, ambition, and resilience. The data also confirms this pattern, with over 85% of military leadership worldwide being men. Military command remains the ultimate test of strategic planning, resilience, and crisis decision-making. The fact that societies continue to entrust men with these roles speak volumes about competence and public confidence. But as we know, strong leadership is not only about the individual, it is about how people respond. Take research from the University of Montreal, for example, that showed that employees rated their male leaders as more decisive and more confident, particularly during uncertain times. Further studies in the International Journal of Leadership Studies indicated that followers responded more effectively to direct leadership, a style that men statistically use more often. Madam Speaker, even the recent United States election illustrates this reality. Tens of millions of voters placed their confidence in the male candidates, reaffirming the global pattern that societies instinctively trust men with the highest offices. This is not just an isolated case. It reflects the broader evidence that followers perceive male leadership as more decisive and commanding. However, this is not unique only to the United States. It demonstrated the global pattern of societies placing their confidence in male leadership. If followers themselves responded more strongly to male authority, does this not prove effectiveness in practice? Honorable members, when we combine crisis performance with follower response, the result is clear. Men excel in the most demanding leadership conditions. Men command stronger follower confidence and compliance, and societies have consistently relied on men when the leadership stakes are highest. Honorable members, the evidence leaves no room for doubt. It is on this clarity that I now draw this debate to a conclusion. Madam Speaker, honorable members, throughout today's debate, our side has demonstrated that historical patterns, societal factors, and political trends have consistently favored men in leadership positions over women. We acknowledge that both men and women possess the strength and skills necessary to lead. However, evidence have shown that traits traditionally associated with men,
and they're giving
such
us the
as
results at the end, which team win, all that.
You're mute. Sorry, your microphone is on mute. Whoever is speaking.
Sorry, let me restart. We acknowledge that both men and women possess the strength and skills necessary to lead. However, evidence shows that traits traditionally associated with men, such as risk-taking, resilience, integrity, or assertiveness, have played a distinctive role in the producing outcomes deemed crucial by society and institutions. For these reasons, and based on the evidence already presented to this Honorable House, the government proudly and confidently supports the motion, men make better leaders than women. With this, I now conclude the government's case. Thank you for your time and attention.
Members, thank you for your argument. We must apologize. We had some technical difficulties with our presentation. It came offline while you were speaking. But now we go on to our 2 minutes intermission.
Time up.
Ladies and gentlemen, our intermission is up. I would now invite the House of Representatives Wave to proceed with their second rebuttal and conclusion. Please note no additional points is presented in the second rebuttal. The floor is now yours.
Good evening, Madam Speaker and fellow members of the House. I am Aisha, representative for Waves, and I will be discussing leadership styles. Women are often viewed as stronger leaders than men, mainly because they tend to use the transformational leadership style. This style focuses on motivating and inspiring followers to accomplish more than they originally thought they could. Transformational leaders help people grow, push them to exceed expectations, and create positive change within a group or organization. Dr. Bass, the one who created the transformational leadership theory, even predicted that women would become the leaders of the 21st century. He believed this because women generally communicate more openly and effectively, which is a crucial part of good leadership. Open communication helps leaders and followers work together, reduce conflicts, and solve problems quickly. Research supports this idea. Our fellow opponent, Frost, the representative for Guardian, mentioned that men continue to grow. We humbly disagree, since a study involving thousands of 360-degree reviews, women scored higher than men in 17 out of 19 important leadership qualities. These strengths included taking initiative, being resilient, continuously improving themselves, motivating others, acting with honesty and integrity, developing their team members, encouraging innovation, solving problems, communicating clearly, building strong relationships, and collaborating well with others. Men scored higher mainly in two areas, that being technical expertise and developing a strategic perspective. These results highlight how women's leadership qualities align strongly with the transformational style. Studies like Montano et al. In 2017 show that transformational leadership benefits not only the leader, but also the followers. Followers under transformational leaders experience higher psychological well-being, more positive emotions, and greater life satisfaction. They also show lower levels of stress, burnout, and negative feelings such as anxiety, anger, or frustration. This means women, who often use this leadership style, pay attention not only to goals, but also to the well-being of the people they lead. In contrast, men are more likely to use a transactional or authoritarian leadership style. According to Dan Locke in 2025, men often focus on power, structure, and completing tasks. They may be stricter, give more direct orders, and rely on their position for authority. This style often includes less collaboration and less consideration of team opinions. Women, however, usually lead more cooperatively. They listen to their team's ideas, explain decisions clearly, motivate their followers, and take time to support and care for their team. Their leadership power comes from building strong relationships and encouraging involvement. Michelle Obama is a powerful example of a transformational leader. As First Lady of the United States, she worked to address major social issues such as poverty, racism, education, nutrition, and women's rights. She created programs like Reach Higher and Let Girls Learn to help young people, especially girls, gain access to quality education and achieve their potential. Through her empathy, strong values, and commitment to creating positive change, she inspired millions. Michelle Obama shows how women use transformational leadership to make a lasting impact and encourage others to achieve more than they thought possible. So let's conclude that the idea that men are better leaders than women is simply not true and is not supported by evidence, real world outcomes, or logic. What the data does show is that women have barely been given the equal opportunities at a chance at leading, and yet when they do get the opportunity, they have repeatedly outperformed expectations time and time again, as well as surpassing their male counterparts. Across the multiple studies and web sources, women have always shown a stronger performance in the leadership roles as they carry qualities that men lack in this day and age, such as communication, empathy, resilience, and problem solving skills. These
Member
traits have
of the
helped
House, Ms.
keep.
Scrooge, your time is up. Members, representatives of the House, thank you all for your arguments. We have now come to the end of our debate, and we would like to proceed with our 8 minutes assessment.